Handsome, super tall, and he has a bunch of red hair. Please put your hands together for Mr. Arthur Quinn. Arthur Quinn.
That was close enough for a super. Hey y'all, my name is Arthur. I'm a big and tall white guy with way too much red hair, and I identify as neurodiverse. And, well, what does that mean, you may wonder? When I was young, I grew up in the 90s, white, suburban, middle class family. And I was diagnosed with several different things over the years as a kid. ADHD, manic depression, bipolar. None of them really fit, but, you know, close enough, right? And as was popular in 90s middle class white suburbia, I ended up getting prescribed a number of different pills with different Z's and X's in them. It never really solved anything, it just made everything fuzzier and more distant. But it didn't change who I was. And who I was someone that didn't understand the world around me. And I was someone that the world around me didn't understand. My dad worked in the city, and so he wasn't there during the week. And so it was just my mom and my 3 younger siblings. And every day was a fight. Every morning, every night. No one could understand why everything they were doing was so wrong. Why it was so important that I sit in the front seat. Why it was so important that, no, we have to play Monopoly, not Twister or whatever. No one could understand the world as I saw it. And it made me really, really agitated. My mom's best weapon, very early on, stopped being spanking. I got way too big for that, and so it was timeout. And I hated timeout. Timeout meant that I had lost the argument. And I'd sit in my room for hours just stewing and steaming at how unjust and unfair it was. If only I could explain how everyone else was doing it wrong in just the right way, then everyone would do things right and we'd all have a great time. I was around 12 or 13, and I finally was like, you know what? You want timeout? I'll give you timeout. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to the school with thousands of kids and a bunch of teachers that had no time for my sarcastic self. I wasn't going to church anymore, where if I could even away just the glaring hypocrisies of what was being preached versus how people behave. I wasn't doing any of it anymore. And as I sat there, I suddenly felt something I never really felt before. I felt peace. That quiet, the buzzing in my brain was finally dimmed. I had never felt that before. And, you know, I don't remember if I lasted 3 days or 3 hours. My parents couldn't cajole me out of it. There was no privilege they could take away from me, no diversion that convinced me to stop, because I didn't need a diversion anymore. I didn't need to escape anything anymore. I could just exist without all that turmoil. They ended up taking me to my psychiatrist du jour, and I guess I said the right magic words because he ended up having me committed. And I spent that weekend in a psych ward. And that was really scary. I remember, you know, first of all, this isn't like some kid's psych ward or something. It was a state-run facility for adults. I remember hallways with way too harsh, bright fluorescent lights that they never turned off. And as much as everything smelled like bleach, whatever they were trying to bleach away, it didn't quite get off the walls and floors. A bunch of nurses with very tired eyes and stained scrubs, all confused and annoyed as me, like, why is this kid here? There's people that actually need these beds. And the worst part was all the adults that were there. Some screaming, muttering to themselves, hitting themselves. Some people strapped down to wheelchairs, drool dripping down their mouth and their face in a rictus of fear. I was scared straight that day. I was scared straight for 20 years. For 20 years, I did everything I could to not end up like those men in that hospital. I conformed, I did what best I could to not be so far outside of what the world expected me to be that the world would just reject me and put me in a place like that. It took me 20 years to find role models on the spectrum that weren't those men in that hospital. And 20 years to figure out that this isn't something that I need to hide or put all this energy into to pretend to be something I'm not. And instead, the way I'm wired, I'm actually proud of it now. I have pride in my neurodiversity and identity. And I get to explore what about myself is a strength and what parts of myself that I want to work on for me rather than someone else. And one of those things that took me 20 years to figure out is that a timeout doesn't have to be a punishment meted out by an authority figure. A timeout can be an accommodation. And now, when the bees start buzzing, kind of like they are right now, I can give myself a timeout. And I can take a moment, and I can find that peace and get a second to be calm and to relax.